They said it couldn't be done, ladies and gentlemen. I have created the best Chess Archfiend deck of 2022, and I'm going to show you how to win with the deck moving forward. So no messing around, ladies and gentlemen. Although the deck is tweakable, we have a monster count of 23. So we're starting things off with a couple of the Royal Archfiends first. We have Archfiend Emperor and Archfiend Empress. This goes without saying, pretty much no matter what build you're going to run, you're always going to use Archfiend Empress to revive your Archfiends that are in the graveyard and to make best use of Dark Spirit of Banishment and Dark Spirit of Malice. We use two of this relatively new Fiend type monster, which should be released at some point early next year, and that is Diabolica, the Dragon Fiend Commander. So Diabolica has two effects. If you send it to the graveyard through a card effect, then you can add a Fiend type monster from your graveyard back into your hand. And of course, that's going to recycle a Dark Spirit as well. And its other effect is if you have a Fiend type monster that is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, so not itself, then you can special summon it from your hand or your graveyard, but then it gets banished when it leaves the field. Then we have our first Chess Archfiend of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We have two Skull Archfiend of Lightning. That's right, we play two of this monster. Aside from obviously having the best Summon Skull artwork, Skull Archfiend of Lightning has exactly the same stats. It's 6-star, 2500 attack, 1200 defense. If you roll a 1, 3, or a 6, you will negate the effect of the card targeting it, and it will also destroy that card, which is pretty great. So we have that dice roll gimmick, which you shouldn't really rely on, despite the fact that we're playing Chess Archfiends. So moving on, we play one Archfiend Commander. This is really here to extend. So if you have a Skull Archfiend of Lightning in your graveyard, or if he's on the field, you can tribute it, summon Archfiend Commander, and then you revive it straight back onto the field. Couple more Chess Archfiends. So we have Shadow Knight Archfiend. This is a level 4 wind type fiend monster. Also has that targeted negate, right? So if you roll a dice and you happen to roll a 3, then you negate the effect of whatever's targeting it and you destroy that card, which is pretty nice. Because it's a wind type monster, that allows us to have access to extra deck monsters such as Lightning Chidori, but Shadow Knight is mainly there because it's level 4. Then we have a flex spot, so I'm running one Terror King Archfiend, which I have a love-hate relationship with. So again, level 4 fiend type monster, it's dark now instead of wind, and also it has that targeted negate. So if you roll a 2 or a 5, so it's a little bit better this time, then you get to negate and destroy cards, which is nice. But it has a very annoying summoning restriction where you need to control an Archfiend monster before you can even normal summon him. So basically for that reason, I tend not to run Terror King. So I would advise you to remove him. But I'm running him just because I love the card, it's nostalgic, and he's probably my favorite Archfiend monster. Our third level 4 Archfiend monster is Infernal Queen Archfiend. Pretty much you can decide which level 4 you want to run. I'm simply running Infernal Queen because it just shakes things up a bit. She also has more protection in her than Shadow Knight Archfiend does. So if you roll a 2 or a 5 as opposed to just the 1 die result, you get to negate and destroy. She only pays 500 life points instead of 900. And also during each standby phase, she can raise the attack of one of your Archfiend monsters for that turn by 1000. And then to round off the level 4s, we have 3 of the newly released Salamander Catalyzer. This card is amazing. It's one of the best fiend type supports we've had released all year. Pretty much what it does is you target one card in your hand and itself, you then special summon either it or that card and then you discard the other. Then if a fiend monster battles another one and something's destroyed, you get to recycle it from the graveyard into your hand. It basically gets around the Tour Guide of the Underworld issue that we had where you would summon her and then it would get Ash Blossomed and then you end your turn. So Salamander at least allows you to extend way beyond what Tour Guide would ever bring. Then we have a bunch of 3-stars. We have Dark Spirit of Banishment, Dark Spirit of Malice. These two go without saying. We have Fiendish Rhino Warrior. We only play him at 1. We play 2 Archfiend Heiress. I tend to run 2 instead of 3 because we can recycle her a bit more now. And with Master King Archfiend on the field, that also provides some additional recycling. I feel like 2 is the sweet spot. 3 is a bit of a brick just because of how clunky her search actually is. But she allows you to search any Archfiend card as not just monsters, so she's great. We play 1 Scum to search out the Dark Spirits. And we play 1 Dark Bishop Archfiend, which is a water fiend type monster who has the effect where if any of your Archfiend monsters are targeted by a card effect, you can roll a dice and 1, 3 or 6 will negate and destroy that card. So it's an AoE buff that Dark Bishop provides. That's the only good reason for running it. 300 attack, 1400 defense is horrendously bad. In my opinion, Terror King and Dark Bishop are the ones that you can probably just take out and place something else in. But if you wanted to be a bit more nostalgic with the chess theme, then these two, of course, are pretty cool to use. And then we round off the monsters with 3 Core of Chaos. So Core of Chaos, once again, is a new card. It's coming out in Photon Hypernova. You target a dark monster from your hand or graveyard, banish it, special summon this card from the hand. It's a 2-star tuner monster, which allows you to then synchro summon into the likes of Groza, the Tyrant of Thunder, or even Chaos Archfiend, which again is another new Archfiend that's coming out in the near future. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure to do that now for more Archfiend content like this in the near future. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, as it really helps with the exposure, and hit the notification bell so that you get notified when this content is uploaded. Right, so moving on to the spells and traps, we have 12 spells and 5 trap cards. We're starting things off with a field spell called Dice Dungeon. This card fits the Chess Archfiend theme perfectly. When it's activated, you can add a spell card called Dimension Dice from your deck to your hand. So let's move straight on to Dimension Dice, shall we? It's a normal spell, and if you control a card that has a dice roll type mechanic attached to it, you can tribute 1 monster, and you special summon a monster from your deck that also has a dice roll mechanic. So basically, you can summon any chess fiend from your deck straight onto the field, such as Skull Archfiend of Lightning. It's also not once per turn, so if you open multiple copies of it, you can use it multiple times. A quick extender card, so we have Ready Fusion. Pay 1,000 life points, summon a vanilla fusion from your deck that's level 6 or lower. That's quite significant for the Xyz plays that we do in this deck. We play 1 Terraforming because we want to search out Dice Dungeon, but we also play 1 Archfiend Palabyrinth as well. And then basically 4 Foolish Burials, right? So we play 1 Foolish Burial plus 3 Void Apocalypse. Then finally for the trap cards, again, a lot of this is a bit flexible really, but we play 3 Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch. This is one of the best interruptions we've got going for us. Although it can be Ash Blossomed, it's not once per turn. You destroy a card on the field and you can send a fiend from your deck to the graveyard. It does everything Archfiends need. We play 1 Archfiend's Roar for that recycling power, and we play 1 Call of the Archfiend as well for a continuous floating effect. So there you go, that basically rounds up the deck. That's 40 cards. Now we move quickly onto the extra deck. So we have 2 fusions, so we play 2 Soul Hunter. This is a level 6 fiend that we summon off of Ready Fusion. We play 4 Synchro monsters. We play Groza, the Tyrant of Thunder. This is a level 8 fiend type monster that can also quick effect negate monsters on your opponent's side of the field, whilst also buffing himself up through fiends getting sent from the hand to the graveyard. Then we play a Archfiend's Call, a Chaos Beast, and Chaos Archfiend. So be advised, Chaos Archfiend isn't out yet. You can easily replace this with something else, maybe a second Groza, whatever flex spot that you want to put in here. You can just either remove the cores of Chaos, replace them with Fabled Raven, for example, or whatever you like. Chaos Archfiend is an amazing Archfiend monster. 2,500 attack, but if a card has been banished that turn, he raises his attack by 2,000. So if you've got Palabyrinth on your side of the field, you have a 5,000 attack monster that can attack every monster your opponent controls once each, and it banishes every monster that it destroys. Then, if Chaos Archfiend happens to leave the field, right, it doesn't have to get sent to the graveyard, it can be put into the banish zone, you can special summon a Chaos monster from your extra deck. So if you wanted to stay on theme, you can of course run Chaos King Archfiend. However, I'm going with Chaos Beast simply because it can recycle banished cards and put them into your hand. So it just enables a little bit extra flexibility. Now we have a bunch of Xyz monsters. We play 2 Zeus simply because we can afford to run 2 of them. And we play a DDD package that allows us to go into Zeus basically. So we have Wave King Caesar, the rank 4. That can overlay again into Marksman King Tell. That can overlay again into Divisor King Deus Machina X, and then you can go into Zeus. You can also run DDD High Wave King Caesar as the rank 6 because our Skull Archfiend of Lightnings are level 6, Commander's level 6, Ready Fusion, Soul Hunters, again level 6, allows you to overlay into this monster that has a non-once per turn special summon negate. Very strong. Then for the link monsters, we run Master King Archfiend and Muckraker from the Underworld. I'm also running Underworld Goddess of a Closed World, but this spot can really be whatever you like. If you wanted to run a second High Wave King, you can. If you want to run Utopia Beyond, Photon Strike Bouncer, Nightmare Unicorn, even another Chaos monster, whatever you like really. Now I'll just explain some of the things that you can do with this deck. Have a quick sip of coffee. So as you can see, we've got a bunch of cards in our hand here. What we're going to do is activate Salamander Catalyzer, target our Archfiend heiress, send it straight to the graveyard, summon Salamander, and because that discards her effect, we now get Archfiend heiress's effect, which is brilliant. So we can search whatever we want here. So Archfiend's Glitch is obviously a very good pick, but what we're going to do is add Skull Archfiend of Lightning into our hand. From here, we're going to activate Void Apocalypse. We're going to use its effect, discard Skull Archfiend of Lightning, and now we can send again whatever monster we like. For now, I'm going to send Diabolica. Now we get Diabolica's effect to add a card straight back into our hand. So we'll just recycle that heiress. Now because we haven't normal summoned, we'll just tribute summon our Archfiend Commander and revive that Skull Archfiend of Lightning onto our side of the field. And that will enable us to summon High Wave King Caesar, or depending on the matchup, right, you can overlay again into Deus Machinax, because that's going to provide some protection. Okay, so same hand, we're going to use Catalyzer's effect. Again, target the heiress. So Catalyzer provides a lot of utility. It allows us to do basically whatever we want. So we're going to add Glitch straight into our hand. Because we have Void Apocalypse, again, Foolish Burial would work just fine. We're going to send Fiendish Rhino Warrior into the graveyard, send Diabolica, and then activate both of their effects to recycle a couple of cards into our hand. Rhino Warrior is going to send a Skull Archfiend of Lightning into the graveyard. Heiress is going to come back. We're going to summon Archfiend Commander, use its effect to bring Skull Archfiend of Lightning onto our side of the field, and then that allows us to go into High Wave King Caesar. You can think of this deck as a High Wave King Caesar turbo, if you will. It's quite good for rank 6 Xyz plays. If you like, you can normal summon Archfiend Heiress. Because Archfiend Commander has a special destruction effect, special summon him, destroy Heiress, get Heiress's effect, and then we can bring whatever we like. Once again, I'm going to bring Skull Archfiend of Lightning into the hand, use Catalyzer's effect, target Skull Archfiend of Lightning, summon it onto our side of the field, and this again allows us to go into High Wave King Caesar, so it's pretty decent. And now that we have Void Apocalypse, we can choose to either send a Dark Spirit into the graveyard, for example Dark Spirit of Banishment, and then we'll use Rhino Warrior's effect to either send an Archfiend Empress, which allows us to float into the Skull Archfiend of Lightning that we had, or we can send Diabolica in order to recycle both our Dark Spirit and any other fiend that was in our graveyard. So for example, Salamander Catalyzer, but remember if we attack, that gets recycled anyway, or we can bring one of these back into our hands. We just recycle a couple of cards like this. All right, so new hand, people. We've got Dice Dungeon here. So we're going to go ahead and activate it. This allows us to add a Dimension Dice straight into our hand. We've got a selection of cards to choose from. We're going to activate Salamander Catalyzer. Doesn't really matter which one we summon here, so I'm just going to bring out Empress. We're going to normal summon our Fiendish Rhino Warrior. This is a fairly convoluted combo simply because this is the hand that we've been dealt with. But what we're going to do off of Rhino Warrior, we're going to send Diabolica straight into the graveyard. This will allow us to recycle a monster straight back into our hand. Again, it doesn't really matter which one that we pick. We're going to use Muckraker to special summon a monster. So we're going to use Diabolica, get rid of Empress, summon it onto our side of the field. Then we'll use Dimension Dice, get rid of Muckraker to summon a Skull Archfiend of Lightning from our hand. Then we'll link both of them off into Master King Archfiend, activate Retort's Fusion to summon a Soul Hunter. Now because we paid 1,000 life points, we get to use Master King's effect to send an Archfiend Heiress straight into our graveyard. Heiress's effect will activate, and we may as well use Master King to chain block it, and this will allow us to search for an Archfiend card. So we're going to bring Archfiend Commander onto our side of the field. Now we will simply special summon Commander, destroy Master King, and then we can overlay once again into Wave High King Caesar. Now of course there are way simpler ways of going into it, but I'm just trying to show you here that the cards all sort of come together in a way that allows you to pretty much pick and choose the level of Archfiend that you want on your side of the field. We can do exactly the same thing, but for level 4 monsters, except it's even quicker. So what we're going to do is activate Dice Dungeon, add good old Dimension Dice straight into our hand. We're going to normal summon Fiendish Rhino Warrior, then use Dimension Dice on the Rhino Warrior to summon any level 4 Archfiend that we like. So good old Terror King Archfiend is going to make his debut. Activate Fiendish Rhino Warrior. At this point it's good to send an Heiress, but for now I'm going to send a Dark Spirit of Banishment because we've got Salamander in our hand. So we're going to discard the Empress, summon the Catalyzer, recycle the Dark Spirit into our hand, and then we'll go through our DDD sort of lineup here. So we've got our rank 4, Then we'll go into our rank 5. And then finally, we'll overlay into our Divisor King. So this provides 3 monster interruptions, providing it doesn't get destroyed. But then, of course, because we've got Empress in our graveyard, Dark Spirit of Banishment can revive it. So this is a very quick test hand. Okay, this is completely shuffled. We opened Catalyzer and we opened Diabolica, which is pretty great. So we can target Skull Archfiend of Lightning, we'll summon Skull Archfiend, and because we sent Salamander to the graveyard, we can use Diabolica's effect to special summon itself. Now, if we wanted to, we could summon Muckraker and revive some things. We can use Retort Fusion, but I reckon we'll use Dimension Dice, get rid of the Diabolica to summon a second Skull Archfiend of Lightning, and this will allow us to go into Wave High King Caesar. Another test hand, so we'll use Salamander Catalyzer, target our heiress, which is pretty good, and then we'll discard the heiress, allowing us to search for a card. There's a few things we can do here, but one that I thought of is to search for Archfiend Commander. Then we'll use Void Apocalypse by discarding, say, another Catalyzer, because it's just sitting there. Get rid of Skull Archfiend of Lightning. Because we haven't normal summoned, we contribute, and then you see exactly what's coming, right? To bring our other level 6 Archfiend onto our side of the field and overlay both of them again into Wave High King Caesar. Okay, so new hand. We have Void Apocalypse. We have Fiendish Rhino Warrior, which is pretty good. So we can use Catalyzer to send the Rhino Warrior. We can always use Catalyzer to turbo out the Dark Bishop Archfiend. But what I'm going to do is activate Void Apocalypse, use its effect to discard the Rhino Warrior. And then here I'm going to send Diabolica. And in addition to that, I'm going to use Rhino Warrior's effect, but I'm not going to use Diabolica's effect. And now I will send off a Rhino Warrior Archfiend Heiress into the graveyard. Now I will activate Heiress and then chain block it with Diabolica's special summoning effect. This will bring Diabolica onto the field, and now I can search for an Archfiend monster. In this case, it's going to be Archfiend Commander. Now I will use Salamander Catalyzer, because why not? I'm going to target our Dark Bishop Archfiend, special summon Dark Bishop onto our side of the field. Then I will use Dimension Dice to banish the Diabolica, summoning Skull Archfiend of Lightning onto our side of the field. And because we haven't normal summoned yet, I'm going to tribute over that Skull Archfiend with Commander, special summon the Skull Archfiend back onto our side of the field, and now we have a choice. Yeah, I can either go once again into Wave High King Caesar, or I can kind of just leave it there, because our Dark Bishop Archfiend has that AoE protection, which means if you roll a 1, 3, or a 6, you will negate the effect and destroy it. So actually, this is a good opportunity for us to run Archfiend's Ascent, and then it will also get the AoE buff that Dark Bishop provides. But for now, let's just go into Wave High King Caesar. Okay, another test hand. So we've got Core of Chaos here, which is pretty decent. So what we'll do is activate Terraforming and bring Archfiend Palabyrinth into our hand. We'll use Void Apocalypse, discard the Infernal Queen, discard an Heiress into the graveyard, activate her effect. We're just going to bring Commander straight into the hand, then use Palabyrinth and destroy it using Archfiend Commander. Because we have Core of Chaos, we can just banish the Heiress that we had, summon it onto our side of the field, and that enables a level 8 synchro play such as Chaos Archfiend. Because we have Archfiend's Glitch as well, that's also pretty good. If we summon Groza, then we can use Glitch to destroy a monster on their side of the field, send an Heiress or a Diabolica, recycle a card into the hand, and then that makes Groza live to negate stuff. Right, so more test hands, everyone. We're going to start things off with Dice Dungeon. Let's add Dimension Dice straight into our hand. We've got Retort Fusion here. So straight away, we have a Wave High King Caesar, right? We can just normal summon, use Dimension Dice, summon Skull Archfiend of Lightning, Retort Fusion into a Soul Hunter, and overlay both of them. So I'm basically going to do exactly that, right? So summon Skull Archfiend of Lightning, we're going to Retort Fusion, pay 1,000 life points, summon Soul Hunter, and then we can overlay both of them into Wave High King Caesar. And because we haven't normal summoned, as I say, we could end it there, or we can summon Dark Bishop, and if we wanted, we can Dimension Dice again, and we can summon something else. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you enjoyed this video, my name's Adam. If you didn't, my name's Steve. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you around.